The way that my neighbor found out about it was there was a gentleman in a pickup truck out there on her property. She went out to talk to them and she asked him if he wanted to fish, and he said, "I'm sorry, ma'am, no, I'm here to decide where I'm going to put my bulldozer." And she said, "What do you mean your bulldozer?" And he said, he was very apologetic, but he said, we're getting ready to drill here. There was the site supervisor came to our property and told me that they were considering drilling out here. I told him that we only had 10 acres and that was the only place that I had to keep our horses. And he had said that he would talk to his managers. On September 16th, when I was at work, we left here at 7:30 in the morning. That's when I always leave to get my daughter to school. I dropped her off, got to work. I want to say it was about probably 9:30 in the morning. This neighbor called me and said, "Do you know that they're out there? They've knocked down your fence and they're bulldozing your pasture, and your horses are not put up." She told me later that Nina and Sweetheart were wandering around the bulldozers while they were out there. I jumped in my car and I raced home. I was scared for the horses more than anything else. I think I was in shock, to be honest. I was afraid that the horses were going to be hurt. I was just shocked that they could do that. I got here first. Tim had just gotten to the airport, landed coming home from a business trip, and I called him on the way home to let him know what was going on. And when I got here, right out there where the wellheads are now, there was a white truck, and that site supervisor was in the truck, and I crawled through the fence and walked out to where he was, and he rolled down his window, and I said, "You're trespassing, and you don't have a permit," because I had been checking the Railroad Commission website to see if they ever applied for a permit, because then I'd know if they were coming or not. And he said, "I don't need a permit. I have the lease." When Tim got home, I don't even know how to describe how angry he was. I really don't. I thought he was going to shoot somebody. He was going to kill somebody. He was so angry. And he told the site supervisor, he said, "You are violating, if this isn't, search and seizure of your property, I don't know what is." And he was just furious. And he came into the house, and then he came back out, and I was still out here with the site supervisor. And when he came back out of the house, I figured he was going to have a gun in his hand. But he didn't. He had a camera. And he just started taking pictures. And, he was just screaming and yelling and just so angry. And I know that why he was that way, it was because he felt like he couldn't protect Riley and I. We had 10 acres of usable property, and now we have probably 6. As you can see, this was a fairly large piece of property that was grass so that the horses could eat. Now, where they have to graze is dirt, because there's not enough grass for them to graze to eat. I will not let them out here because the waste pit was out here. They had spills out here. They've spilled produced water out here. The horses will never come out here. I will never let them out here. We had our house appraised again after they drilled. The appraiser found it to be worth $78,000. It was appraised at $300,000 before that. And they voted 5-0 that our house was worth $78,000. For their emission violations out here, they were fined $35,000, and that took 8 months. The Texas Railroad Commission doesn't do anything. Slap on the hand. I'm not kidding. If you had told me this a year ago, I wouldn't have believed you. I would have said, "No." That's what they do. They're supposed to protect people and help, and make sure that things are operating the way that they should be. But that's not the case. Will I be able to light my water on fire someday? I don't know. Do we drink the water? We stopped drinking the water the day they showed up over there, because you don't know. We go and get it in town in big bottles. There's a leak right now. They have if they have pressure on the Braden head, there's a leak. If there's a leak, it could possibly get into our water supply. So it's not worth the risk, especially not for my daughter. There is no reason why this needs to be so close to people's homes, especially when it's an operator that has leaking equipment and doesn't make sure that it's safe until the state makes them
We weren't approached by the industry, we were merely run over by it. They did not seek or desire any permission or permits or anything from us. What we have discovered in this entire process is that basically the industry is pretty much self-regulating. Not only self-regulating, but pretty much self-permitting. Well, as a private citizen, as a parent, a father of children, you chase the American dream to do the best you can do. You move out to the country to buy a piece of property, to enjoy fresh, clean air, country air, and then we basically have these people attack us, trespass on our property with noise, fumes, noxious chemicals. We want to revert back to that happy, healthy place that we were before these people came to town. I'm not against the oil and gas industry. I come from an oil and gas family. We just want these people to perform their job in a responsible manner. I live pretty close to some of these facilities, and pretty much everything that my wife and I have worked decades to achieve and build, the equity in our home and our property is pretty much worthless.
I moved over here. I live in Fort Worth, across the street from Tandy Hills Natural Area, and Tandy Hills is it's a native prairie. The native landscape in this part of the world is prairie. But because Texas and North Texas in particular has been so heavily developed, what's left of the original natural world is less than 1%. It's really less than half of 1%. So this little prairie across the street here is a 160-acre park owned by the city. Is a very rare piece of land. So in 2005, I heard that they were going to drill over there, and all I knew of drilling was, drilling in the Arctic or drilling in the Gulf. I didn't know anything about gas drilling at all. I became kind of an instant activist because I was going to protect this park from any kind of drilling or any development. But as we would soon learn, the laws were all against us. Not only that, but we were taking on the most powerful corporations in the world, big oil and big gas. And we didn't really have any clue at that point that that's what we were doing. The drillers saying we're going to bring in all this money and all these jobs, and you have to balance that against the impact. And regardless of what the PR people of the drilling lobby say, there is an impact, and you can measure that right here in Fort Worth. So we did protect this particular park, Tandy Hills, but it's not much of a victory because there's private property near this park that they purchased, and the land adjacent to this park is owned by 3 different gas companies.